Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to this episode of Real Talk. Just a couple things to note before we get into today's show. If Real Talk has impacted you, we would love if you would take a minute and leave us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. This is a huge help for us in promoting Real Talk to those who have never listened. And, as always, today's episode is brought to you by our official sponsor, Trivan, builders of custom trucks, trailers, and enclosure buildings tailored to your needs. Be sure to check them out at www.trivan.com. A huge thanks to them for making this conversation possible. Now on to today's episode.
They're going to know the Leafs lost.
Oh, the Leafs.
We all knew it was going to happen. Although it is becoming way harder to be a Leafs fan out here in Calgary. Because everyone in our church actually is like from all over. So there's like Jets fans and Canucks fans and Flames and Edmonton. And so, yeah, all the Oilers fans are laughing right now.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so hard to be a Leafs fan because it's so predictable. And it's just like every year, second round, like clockwork, game 7. But this year was particularly awful. So,
yeah, just a pathetic start. So
I'm learning deep inside myself. I'm learning about patience and adversity.
The godly virtues that come to the fore watching the Leafs playoff every single year.
I'm not seeking out suffering, but in a way,
this is a trial that we have to go through. Yes.
It's not good.
No, it's really not.
Well,
anywho, let's talk real talk, man.
Yeah. It's been a while since we've done this.
It has. Yeah, you not being in the province always makes that a little more challenging.
Yeah, but no, it's been good. We got a good run of episodes. We haven't done a roundup in a long time, which means we're actually driving a lot of value for people, hopefully.
Well, just getting into the stuff that's really, really mattered, I think, over the last few months. Or it's just 6 months, probably.
I guess we can give people some context. We've actually been working on that a little bit more, like intentionally, I guess, as a podcast to try to we argue a little bit more about what we're producing. So hopefully the topics are a little bit more intentionally driving value for people. That's something we're going to keep up, I think.
Yeah, and just trying to get more real, I think, as we go too, and try to challenge ourselves. I mean, I think we've always tried to do that a bit, but I think the further we get into this whole podcasting journey, just really looking at different areas of our life and trying to have people on to challenge ourselves to get better, and hopefully people can relate to that and learn from it, I guess, enjoy it.
Yeah, sometimes it's tough because you have to ask questions that are going to have an answer that you're going to need to act on in your life.
Like, no. Don't tell me to change.
I guess that's the title of this episode. What are we going to call it? Making Real Talk Real?
Yeah, just do something. Yeah.
So just doing something. And like when you ask a question in a podcast, like about devotions or evangelism, you just know there's gaps in the way you're doing things and you should do things better in your life. So it's like,
yeah.
But just being, whatever the world would say, just be brave, ask the questions.
Mm-hmm. So I guess we're working back to front. So we haven't done one of these since September of 24. It's been a minute.
Which is good.
So we kind of just, for listeners, picked through a couple that we enjoyed. But to me, like an overall theme probably for this episode is just like, what is my calling, and being called to act on the info we kind of heard throughout the last 6 months of podcasting. So kind of episodes 108 and 114 for me, at least, kind of stood out. Obviously, one of those was directly related to what is my calling with Reverend Bukestein there. He's talking about his book. That's going back to October. I thought that was really good. I mean, just a big takeaway was just get out and do something with your life. And yes, pray about it. Yes, carefully consider it, talk to others in your life. But ultimately, we're called to be, people of action to get after it. And it's okay to make a mistake. It's okay to change your mind, but you can't be slothful or lazy, as Proverbs talks about, right? So that was, I appreciated that one, but I don't know. Did you have any like memories from that one? That is quite a while ago now.
Yeah, no, that's a long time ago. I mean, that whole episode also, you mentioned 114, tying in with university, university conversation you had with Mark and John. I think like both of those, it's like it's the what is my calling, like just do something, just go out, just don't be sitting around. I don't know, this I guess opening our eyes to this, find yourself culture, which has been like, I guess, I mean, that was probably more of a thing when I came through university. People would take a gap year and go, and that, again, it's not totally wrong to do, but just like, if you're not doing those kinds of things with intention, it's just like you're you can do that for your whole life. Find yourself your whole life and you'll never find yourself. It's like you got to go out and do stuff. You got to find you only find out what you're good at and what you really enjoy to do and like the really deep meaning in your work in just who you are, but by like going and doing something. So whether that's university or whether it's a job or whatever it is. And then also like I guess just kind of bucking a couple of the stereotypical like, we go to post-secondary or like just there is no right path. And I feel like people have really realized that over the last few years and they're starting to like just do something as more of a, I can take a pretty non-traditional career path and that's fine. And it's good. Like it doesn't need to be, school this, then I go here and I get a job, I make whatever, like I lock down a salary, I save, I retire. I mean, we talked about retirement. That was the last one that came out. Like
Yeah.
the path is not, this maybe I don't know if it's the same as it used to be, but it's definitely not like a straight line like we imagined it would be all the time. So that's one thing that hit me. And I think we both experienced that being entrepreneurs and like just whatever. We both have fairly like I went to university and you didn't, but like both have fairly non-traditional career paths. So yeah.
Yeah. You're supposed to do the job and then get fired and then go and do the job yourself.
Yeah,
Which
it's
is
just
always a good path.
not a recommendation, I wouldn't say for sure. But
No, no, definitely not.
if you want to do something in your life, like it's just not going to be this straight, like I learned and then I did, and
No.
then I just did it better forever and I loved it the whole time. Like the whole find your passion thing. I think that's dying in our culture too, a little bit. Is like you just can't have the thing you do is not always the thing you're passionate about all the time. So
No, but you have to uh what's the word
you
right way to
find
phrase
joy in
this?
like other pieces of it, right?
You also have to earn the right to find the passion. Like you have to build a skill set, I
Mm,
think, and do the
that's a good way to
work
put it.
to be more passionate about a given subject. Like for what I do every day now, like sales and in particular for our company and selling doors, like yeah, did I care about that deeply? Like no, but now that I'm really invested in it and I do it every day, like yeah, I'm passionate about it. Like it's
Yeah.
fun. It's like it's a craft. I see it as a craft, trying to just get the next edge and get a little better and find out what makes people tick and how can we help serve them in their business and find win-wins wherever we can. So yeah,
Yeah,
just oh
not everything's gonna be like finding the edge and the passion part of it. Like it's like people, I don't know. It's like the Leafs. They just need to do something too. But like but it's not always gonna be the fun. Like you're not always gonna be playing hockey or you're not always gonna be, golfing and trying to find the next fun thing. Like you may just have to you may not enjoy every piece of sales, but you find like the fun things about it that you really do enjoy and you kind of lean into that. I feel like, and then if you find something that's just like, oh, okay, I'm actually really good at a piece of this, and this other career path actually has more of that than what I do now. It's like just make the pivot. It's not like you don't. It's there's no shame in doing that, right? I think that's what one thing that came out in those episodes.
yeah, just go find something and get useful at it and then the options will present themselves.
Yeah,
And if it's not working out, well, either you're not, tailored to, you're not, God didn't design you to do this, or you haven't put enough time in to get good and you need to be
yeah,
patient. And I think that second one is probably more common. Just be patient and just keep working at something. It honestly, any like half decent skill, it takes a number of years to like get okay at it. And
yeah.
like could take a decade to get really good at it. Like you got to put your 10,000 hours in. So
Yeah, and that's related to work, but did another one that well, this is from back in December, but we did an episode on devotions. And my wife's actually been, I mean, much better at this than I have. So I would say probably through the whole course of our marriage, but especially in maybe the last 3 or 4 years, she's been doing devotions, I guess more consistently, I would say, but like it goes back to this like just do something attitude. And and she'll tell me like if you get into this habit of doing something, if you get in the habit of doing devotions, try not to like be discouraged when you forget to do it one day or whatever. Like if you try to commit to this people try to commit to like a whole year, like year
Like the
plan.
gym.
Yeah, and they
Yeah.
get into like I mean, for me, honestly, I got into this in January, and my wife Kel's been doing this for I think she's almost done her third year through the Bible in a year. Um, and she's so good at like just making time in the day to do it. And I got into maybe February, and I was like, I did January really well. February was like, it's like, dude, you're in the second month and you're ready. But like, I've realized since now it's May, I've realized like you just if you view it like you've failed at what you're doing, you just never pick it back up because it's like something that's over. It's like you missed the day, you missed 2 days, and that's kind of my personality too. Is like a little bit more like the goal oriented, I guess. So you just kind of like go after the thing, and if you fail to get the thing, you just kind of like, all right, next thing. What's the next thing? Like, and realizing like the just do something attitude. It's like, just come back to it. Just come back to it because you get it done. You might not do it in a year. You might do it in a year and a half. But if you don't just think about it as just do something, this devotional thing really hit me. So talking to Mark and Donna Kelderman, that was episode 111. And I would recommend everyone go listen to that. That was kind of, we did that at the end of the year as a precursor to like a New Year's resolution. And looking back, I don't regret it, obviously, making it a New Year's resolution thing. But also, I think if you're trying to like, this is a New Year's resolution to start devotions, it's just like thinking about it wrong. Like
It's gotta be a way of life, right?
we did this, we recorded this in December, I believe, or maybe late November. And I actually delayed starting doing devotions until January because I was like, that's just like, it's like I think a lot of people would do that, right? It's like, okay, January 1st, I'm going to start. It's like, if you're not going to start November 30th, you're not going to start, December 11th. Like, why would you start on January 1st? Doesn't make sense, right? So now I think I've just like grown in that a little bit to be like, just do the thing. Every day you have to get up and make the decision to do the thing.
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
Well said. Well said. It's got to be that way of living, right? Like just you got to make it just like you said, come back to it. It's
Yeah.
and that's hard too. That's a big mindset shift. Like maybe not completely like doing something like smaller like devotionals or devotions. It doesn't have to encompass your whole day, but it's got to be a daily routine. So it's a substantial change, and you got to definitely think about it and make sure it's part of your life for good. And
Yeah.
I totally have that all the time. It's so hard. Like you're good for like a month or two, and then you drop off, and good for another 4 or 5 weeks, and then drop off. It's like
Yeah, and I have like it's more than just devotions, but it's work, it's reading for me. Like I just don't read enough. Like if I don't make time to sit down and do it, it's more like it's not even like yeah, I don't know. I say make time, but it's not even really make time. It's like if you don't just pick up like you have a minute if you're on your phone, just put your phone down and read instead. Like there's things you should be doing, just do them.
yeah,
So if you don't, yeah, I think it kind of goes back to the university thing. If you don't create habits where you're actually doing useful things repeatedly and like intentionally trying, you just don't build the muscle to be able to do it later. Like if you don't know how to do hard work at your desk in your office and you don't ever do it and you always put it off because it's just hard thing to do. And like admittedly it might be difficult. It's like you're just never gonna find the muscle to do it when it matters. Like and like you'll never get that compounding effect, I guess, in your life. So like reading devotions is the same thing, right? I mean, we'll touch on evangelism later. I think that's the same thing. It's like you got to create those muscles.
yeah, you got to work them out, right? You got to tear them, you got to break them, stretch them. They
Yeah.
rebuild, they get bigger. Like it's the same as the physical process of building muscle. It's yeah, it's just it's hard. It is just challenging, and I think the topic of evangelism that you touched on with or touched on, that was the entire episode with Reverend
Yeah, Murphy.
yeah, with Murphy there. That was awesome. I listened to that one. I didn't know really much about the guy at all, and I thought that was a fantastic conversation. It definitely got me thinking more. Like, okay, I got to look for some more opportunities here, and not just like one-off sort of situations, but just to be a lot more intentional about that in my life. Because I don't think you guys touched on this too. Like, sure, programs might have their place, and yeah, it's not like you shouldn't run VBS or something, but it's got to be like an all of life sort of approach. Like again, same
Yeah.
as devotions. You can't just like stick them in a little corner of your life. Like it's Christ is Lord over every square inch, right? So it's trying to really put that in your life. And when the rubber hits the road, apply that everywhere and be intentional with everyone you talk to. And if you are in the word and that it'll come out of you when you talk. And I can definitely relate to that for certain portions of my life. When that has been true, then it's like you definitely feel it. And then when you get out of those habits and those baseline routines, you feel it the other way, and then it's not good. So it's those two things obviously tie together a lot too. But the other one I actually kind of want to touch on too, not that we're done with the Murphy one, but it was the RBS episode with Reformed Book Services on 112. That was cool because I remember going into that, I had not a negative mindset, but more of just like, all right, like nobody reads anymore. Like we got to help promote this bookstore because like they're doing great things, but like, man, they'll probably need the help and whatever. How can we help? And then it was the complete opposite. It was like, oh wow, there's like real like power behind this, and like people are very engaged, interested, and not just like the church community, but like the world around it in the city of Brantford. And there's a real they described it as a revival. Like there's just a lot of people walking in for the first time, looking to read the Bible, looking to consume Christian literature, looking to learn more about Jesus, about the gospel, and what that means for them in their life. And yeah, it's super cool, and it was super encouraging to hear that. And it seems like it's continued. Like that conversation was definitely going back a few months. And you see a guy like Wes Huff out there in the culture talking on Rogan, talking on Flagrant, probably a number of other different podcasts. Like he's really had a cultural moment and blown up. And there seems to be more of an opportunity in this day and age to share your faith.
Yeah, and it seems like it's actually I don't always like to make too much of these things, but also it's easy to make too little of them, if you know what I mean. Like, so there's clips going around of Rogan coming around to like he's a Big Bang guy, he's a evolution guy, and then in a few of his podcasts, he's slowly started to like, well, actually, it makes a lot more sense that I believe in creationism, or I believe in, if I believe in Christianity, like you could see his mind, I guess, I don't know, it's hard to say softening to it, but giving it the time of day like that he hasn't before. And that's just Rogan. I mean, you mentioned Flagrant. They're a wild podcast of comedians, like worldly comedians. Like they just don't. They're not a Christian podcast. These guys have Wes Huff on from Apologetics Canada. Like I watched that on Saturday actually. It was yeah, and I at times they're like downright disrespectful to Christianity. But the witness that Christians seem to be having now in culture and they're giving them the time of day, which is like not something that they would. I mean, I don't know what they normally do. I don't listen to their podcast, but I'm imagining they're not like just bringing Christian podcasters like Christian people on to talk. Like
No.
these guys are getting this opportunity, and like the witness that he can have to a group of listeners that are just not thinking about Christianity at all. And he makes such a strong case. Like I was so impressed. Even though there's lots of things as Reformed people we'd look at and go, I don't know if I agree with the nuance of how he explained that, or when they said this and he should have jumped in and corrected them. It's like you just, for what it's worth, like it's unbelievable. And I think like the whole Reformed Book Services revival is just, I feel like it's happening more. I mean, maybe I'm just paying attention more, but I feel like people are giving it more of a look these days, which is amazing. It's like as Christians, we just need to, I don't know, we just need to lean into it, I guess. Put our foot on the gas, like get out there, make a difference, right? Which is it ties to the evangelism episode.
Yeah.
Which actually, like to go to that, one thing Murphy talked about is do we love, like we titled that, do we love the lost? Now we came up with that title after the fact because listening to that or having that conversation was like one of the big takeaways for me was he mentioned, are we indifferent to the lost? Are we indifferent to our neighbor? Like their to their, the path that they're walking down, to their potential destruction. Like do we care enough? Do we fear God enough personally where we walk out of church and we're like, we actually need to spread this gospel? And I feel like that's just something that you just have to look inside yourself. And again, like mentioned off the top, like you ask questions and you're like, I'm gonna have to change something about the way I think about things or the way I do things. And that's one where I'm like, Yeah. I don't want to say that I look for opportunities more, but I think even back to this, like, just do something attitude, it's like, just look for the little thing. Like, you can, you can say that you go to church or something to your neighbor, but do you say you believe in God to your neighbor? It's just a little different change. And he mentioned a few things like that where, like, you just have to be out there, like, enough. You have to be brave. You have to be, but it comes from this fear of God. Like, and so those are the things where I see a guy like Wes Huff and he's just like, I'm just gonna say it because this is what I believe in. And like, I see culture respecting that more than I ever have. And
which is nice,
yeah,
but you don't even need that. Like, yeah, it's good though. We are entering a bit of a moment. It feels like it is more accepted to say that.
yeah,
Yeah, it's it's hard. It definitely is hard, but I think you guys hit the nail on the head there with that the fear of God, fear of man aspect. Like that's definitely if I look at my own life, like yeah, you just it, sure in certain moments you really look at yourself. You're like, wow, like I'm very thankful that I am saved from my sins because what a wretch of a man that I am, sort of thing. But
mm,
not a sort of thing, like legitimately. But you don't I don't carry that with me enough throughout like the week or throughout the day. And to have that presence of mind to be aware more often that yeah, like the judgment's coming, buddy. And it's
hmm,
it's coming for everyone. And you got to be able to tell people that and spread the word. And yeah, like do you really believe it if you don't actually get out there and say it? Like you got to take a long look in the mirror and kind of ask yourself that question. And sure,
yeah,
like there's grace for that as well. But it was I listened to that when I was whatever cleaning out my garage or something, and I was like, yeah, okay, this has got to change. It's definitely a mindset shift on that one. And it's
yeah,
not some big structural program thing that the church, like the church out there needs to address. It's like no, it's in my heart, it's in your heart, it's in all the listeners,
yeah,
all your hearts too. Like it's gotta, each one of us just has to make the change through the power of the
mm,
spirit and prayer and whatnot too. This isn't like a self-help call or anything, but it's
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. There's definitely been things in the last, like, I mean, I would say in the last few months that I've learned about, and honestly, this goes back to like an episode. Oh man, when was that? Like on discipline, with Reverend Den Hollander. Um,
Yeah.
this was like, wait, this is probably years ago already. Like, this is,
Two.
there's some things
Yeah.
that have stuck with me over the course of doing this podcast. Like, one thing from that one was um patience with people in their sin, or patience with how we deal with things. And I think even the evangelism episode with Murphy, like, he talked about not giving up our reformed doctrine, but making our churches welcoming, not giving up our sheltered, like, church and school communities for our kids, um, and like, sending our kids to a public school. Like, he's like, don't do that. But on the other hand, work inside your school in your catechism classes to work in some opportunity for the kids to be ready to approach the world when they're done school. So there's it's kind of like a both and mentality that I'm like, I think I was a little bit harder to this before, and like even a little more impatient with, I wouldn't say necessarily impatient with the leadership of the church, but because I feel like I try to be very patient with the leaders in their church, because I know, like, I think, I don't know, just based on experience of hiring people, and like, you have to be very patient with everybody, um just, I guess it's more like impatient on the progress that we're making, or in certain aspects. And I'm not even a radical change guy in our church. Like, I'm not trying to, like, trying to push things, but I see the sentiment and I hear really good arguments for, like, hey, like, we're just not doing a really good job here, and like, can we just change it? And like, I feel like we'd have to have these conversations, and we have to just work at it, but we have to realize that it doesn't just change overnight. I mean, so General Synod just ended too, this past Friday. If we're recording this, whatever, it's May, what is it,
Victoria Day
19th?
Monday. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, they had apparently a marathon session on the Friday to get it done. I was chatting with a delegate from our church who went. But all that stuff is like, yes, you can have this thing, but you're not going. General Synod doesn't just solve the problem. Like, it doesn't just make a decision and everyone's like, oh yeah, that's the decision. We're happy now. There's definitely not just a we're happy now, but there's also not like a every decision that gets made there, like tons of them get appealed. It's just slow process. We just need to be patient with all the time. And like that's the leadership of our church, but it's also the structure of our church. And like, yes, we just have to like slowly, it's the do something. Just do something. Do something. And then that'll lead to the next thing. And then we'll learn as we go and we'll get better. I mean, yeah, and that's evangelism. It's how your church culture deals with evangelism. It's everything. So it's definitely something that I've kind of been reflecting on as I go through these episodes too. It's just like, all right, don't expect this to happen overnight. Just because you do an episode on it doesn't mean also it's like people
Yeah.
listen and then everything changes. Like just doesn't happen like that. But
Well, you got to put the pebble in the shoe, right? Like you gotta you gotta be yeah, you gotta be patient, like you say, but also it does it starts with a conversation, really, right? It's you can critique, you can have a conversation, and then you get a few people together, and then you start looking for what ways you can change things you can do, tangibly to make a difference. And they might be small steps at first, and and it's easiest to start in your own life. So like definitely try to do that, especially in terms of like, well, the things we touched on, right? Like just devotionals or missions and not missions, actually, sorry, evangelism, because you guys kind of
yeah,
clarified that.
yeah, missions by proxy. That was another good.
That was the term I was trying to think of.
That was the
Yes.
term. Yeah, that's. I mean, I think it's just a good term to keep in your brain. Missions by
Yeah.
proxy. It's
Yeah.
a lot of what
It
we
can't
do.
just
Yeah.
be others. Yeah. It's got to
Yeah.
be us. But
Yeah.
that ties in nicely to, I think, one of the other key episodes from this past 6 months or so was more recent, which was Be Strong and Act Like Men, with Alan and Tyler. That was a fun one. I enjoyed that. Got some good feedback too from different guys that listened, and yeah, it's just healthy to have that reminder of what biblical masculinity is, and what it means to be a man, and to not get sucked into the yeah, kind of, we didn't get super political with it, but more like the Andrew Tate right wing sort of version of masculinity. Like it's not just
Mhm.
it's not just being macho. Like that's not what it means. Like it's service to others and service to the most vulnerable, and protecting and providing, and being a good spiritual leader, a firm spiritual leader, which of course also ties into creating change, positive change in your local church, and hopefully across the federation if you're one of those men who's selected to go to something like a synod. But just to be, and this all ties together, honestly, just being in the word too for your devotional life,
Mhm.
and taking action, knowing what to do. Man, what a theme we actually put together here. I'm kind of realizing this as we talk. Ah,
Unintentional. No,
unintentional. Yeah.
it's yeah, that one is yeah, it struck me. I mean, obviously having a couple guests in like Tyler and Al like to share their stories and they obviously have really real things to say. Um just from their experience, but also, I mean, Paul Murphy had a similar story. Um yeah, but actually yeah, so this kind of Paul Murphy mentioned in that episode of evangelism, he's like, don't like hold me up because of my story. He said I would give everything to have your story, which was like boring and you do screw up in the church and like we're like he's like, don't lift me up because of like this very clear like my life was terrible, now it's great, or like, I didn't have salvation and now I'm saved. Like that, I think that's something that we just don't yeah, we latch to like good stories too, right? So and those guys for sure, they had the advice they had though, tied to it is like that's what we need to be thinking about. And like you're not going to have such a clear, um, more than likely, like hopefully you don't have such a clear story of like, my life was going terribly. You know, Murphy said he was 29 or 30. Like
Yeah.
that's
Well, and also not to take for granted all the riches we have in our tradition, and the structure and the church
mm,
setup, and the schools and all the other extracurricular organizations that we have. Like there is a lot that we, or not even we, but whatever, like our forefathers have done right, and
mm,
there are many good things set up with good intention and that have done well. But there's always going to be other areas to address, and yeah, I mean we kind of touch on that a bit with evangelism and devotions and whatnot too. So just
yeah.
to continue to improve and to strive to improve in godliness. I think that was yeah, kind of some of the takeaways from those revival type episodes, and also the acting like men. Just be a leader, which is
Yeah.
it starts with doing the hard thing every day, getting up and choosing to do that in faith. And
Again, it's just like you can see it. Just do a little thing. I mean, it's like a whatever. This is like a Jordan Peterson ism. Like,
a
just
little
get up
bit.
and make your bed first, right? Like, and then
Yeah,
you'll do the next right things.
yeah.
There's a guy from Ramsey that says that too. Just get up and like just do the next right thing. Like, what's the next right thing we can do?
Is that the John Deloney guy?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Yeah, I like that guy.
I see him every once in a while.
Yeah,
He's like a counselor, right, or something. But
yeah.
that's his
He's
thing. It's
Christian
like,
too. Yeah,
yeah. But he's just like, yeah, you had a horrible experience, you did horrible things or whatever, but
yeah,
like get up tomorrow and what's the next best or next right thing that you can do. And
yeah,
that's like, yeah, I think that ties back to this advice for young men. It's like, yeah, you might not like the way your life is going, but just like pick a thing and do it.
yeah.
And yeah, God will bless you in those little changes you make in your life, right?
Yeah, and just go forward in faith and be
Mhm.
humble and lean on him. Don't white knuckle it yourself, which I am very guilty of that often, and I think that's a pretty common sin of men around the world, so to speak. But that's yeah, just do it yourself.
Yeah, that ties into man, we've got a theme here. This is great.
That's like
Yeah,
it's like we've been podcasting for 5 years or something.
it's almost like we planned this before the episode or something, which we
Crazy.
didn't. No, I mean, you just said like don't white knuckle it. I feel like that's like a um in this poverty episode with Rick Postma, we talked about just yeah, this kind of it's like this God complex that I was considering too that he mentioned. This mindset kind of came from this When Helping Hurts series I was watching, and then talking to Rick about. I think Word and Deed like nails it on the head with how they approach poverty and just not going into these situations believing that you have something to offer. Like, I mean, you do monetarily, but you don't really know what you have and how that's going to affect things. And so like, yeah, you can have this complex about it that, we're here to help, accept the help and things will be better. It's just not how it ends up going. And so like
Yeah,
that was something that struck me with that episode, like poverty. I mean, we can talk about foreign mission and I can say, hey, go donate to Word and Deed. They need your help. They're doing the right things. They have the right model. Um, they're having the most impact, per dollar or whatever. Like we can make those arguments, but I feel like it just like my mind was like, how do you bring it back to home? And it was like growing up, it was always like, well, you want to do good, go help at a soup kitchen. And I'm like, the soup kitchen's always like the stereotypical or whatever, like archetypal, help. Like, go give some cans away, right? It's like
the
it's like
archetypes, man.
yeah. But it is. It's like someone says go do something to help the poor. What do you think of? You think, oh, soup kitchen. You think of I want to give food. I want to give aid. I want to help. But then if you do take this approach of like, I can't actually fix your problems with giving you money.
Yep.
It makes so much sense just to be like, you actually need to come alongside them in a relational way. It goes back to our evangelism episode. It actually goes back to like Safe Families episode we did with Hildy Sloots way back when.
Yep.
And we started up a chapter for Safe Families here in Calgary recently.
Nice.
I did not. I was very much not me. I went to a ball hockey tournament, so I basically did it. No, there's a group of ladies from our church and a whole bunch of other churches here. But that organization too, it's like their intention is to come alongside people who are in trouble, not to give them funds. And so like it's finding the root of what is causing them to be in a bad spot. And that's something that I thought like, yeah, we just as especially as church going people. I mean, again, we go back to this evangelism episode. Murphy talks about just assuming that like you kind of have an ego about the way like, oh, I'm one of the elect. Haha. Like I'm, I'm not.
Or at least I'm doing
It's like
things the right way.
yeah, it's the us and the others, right? Like, and so we have the same thing with like Western wealth is like it's the us and the other. We know how to do business. They don't know how to do business. We know how to have a government. They don't know how to have, well, we barely know, but like we're still working on that. But their
Yeah.
government's corrupt. Our government's not as corrupt. You know, we have wealth and food and they don't have wealth and food. Like something's wrong. Like it's not, it's like you just need to approach them as humans. And really the only way to do that is like with a Christian worldview, which yeah, you like to think the government's helping and Red Cross is helping, but a lot of times it's just not. Like it's just not really creating that long-term sustainable help, which is
Yeah,
sad.
you can't come in there with like a pre-packaged, like, hey, this is what we offer for 3 easy payments of 10.99. We can get you out of poverty. Like it's not, you can't think about it like a business at all. It's very,
Well,
like
it's
you
just,
say,
yeah, it's $1 a
relational.
day. Sponsor a child. It's like,
Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah. You guys talk about
maybe
that too.
care a little bit. It's
Yeah, which yeah, again, that's the Murphy episode too. Like it's a lot of work to be truly evangelistic and to take the time to walk alongside people, and that's the
it's
harder part too, which kind of like ties in, like you got to give some credit to just thinking in the Southern Ontario context here, but like the work that's getting done, like I think of Mercy Church, like the episode whatever that was, 4 or 5, like Ian Wildemore and the folks over at Mercy, like people who made the change to move to the area to actually be with the people to do this
mm,
kind of relational work. Like I have a lot of respect for that. If you're gonna do it, that's the right way
yeah,
to do it, and that's yeah, that's a challenge for sure. And you'd probably be the first to
yeah.
tell us that, but
It's tough as
it's
a church, but I think like if you just think about this, just do something attitude, it's like even Rick said, just ask questions. Or
yep,
Murphy said the same thing about evangelism. It's like
yep,
ask people stuff. Be curious. Like actually be curious. Actually wonder
yep,
what their issue is. Like don't just go in there and be like, "Oh, you obviously need food." Like cuz you're thin or we know you're not eating proper. So here's some veggies or whatever. It's like that's not
yeah.
helping. Like you need to ask them and actually listen to them and care. Be like, and so like the next time I'm in a spot, like it just makes you think, like next time I'm in a spot where you're just having a conversation, it's so easy to be like, oh, I can just, if I just don't take interest, I can get out of here and I don't have to worry about this. And it's like, how about you just care a bit? Like, it's like, it's going to be hard. It's not going to be like, yeah, you might end up with a whole other part of your life. You might end up with like, yeah, you might end up with a problem that you have to deal with.
But to tie back to some earlier conversations, like you was actually talking with somebody at church yesterday about this. You need to build margin into your life in order to have the space and the time to do that kind of stuff. If you're redlining it in your own life, and then whatever, you're gonna be, there's different seasons, whatever. Like, I mean, we're both in the young family season, so obviously that's a busy stretch with kids and whatnot, but you still, as much as you can, try to build in some of that margin so you can take that extra 10, 15, whatever, however much time you need to have that conversation, or to do a follow-up visit, or to drop off a meal, or to, spend some time
Mhm.
with them, have a coffee, whatever. Like there's a million different ways to help, but you have to clean your own room, so to speak, and have your own house in order to be able to help others. And we've, historically done a pretty good job of having our own house in order, but just being able to think about, like, from a community sense, but being able to think about, okay, like there's other houses out there, and how am I going to go help people in houses
Yeah.
that are in disrepair? Like, not that you have all the answers, go and listen and find out what's going on, but
Yeah.
yeah, just go forward humbly.
You've challenged me like with that even in business or whatever. We challenge each other, like just something that we put on our agendas as business guys to like think about, are we actually making this business the entire part of our life? Are we actually making room to do this stuff? Are we setting money aside, say for causes? Are we even setting our time aside? Like are we just making ourselves too busy with what we're doing? Are we prioritizing business growth over everything? And um, yeah, it's just not an easy question. Like on the one side, you're like, let's build this thing. We can, we can have financial impact. But on the other hand, you're like, you might be at the end of your life realizing how much financial impact you had. You actually could have just set some time aside for the people that you missed along the way, right? Like it's just,
Well, that's like the pay
it's a
and pray
challenge.
thing you guys talked about. Like
Yeah,
that's the pay and pray of just like, let's go out
yeah,
there, let's
mission by
make the
proxy.
money,
It's like, yeah, you just send the money to the people doing it. And I mean, there's space
which
obviously to
is
have
which is fine
missions, but
to a point. But if it doesn't impact your own life and your own heart, and you're
yeah,
not
and I think
like,
about this even inside our churches. Like, we- it's so easy to be like, don't worry, the leadership's got this. The deacons they've got the poverty. They got this covered. They're the ones who have to do this. Now I have to support them, but like it's an attitude. We have to like really look at ourselves and be like, hey, did I actually make room to do this? It's not the deacons who have to do all the visiting. Like the lonely in your church isn't like the deacon's problem. Like part of the deacon's mandate actually is to inspire the congregation to go do it. So it's like, but are you trying to be inspired to do it? Are you trying to like find a way out? It's like someone needs a ride to church. It's like, but I have kids. And it's like, yeah. But it's like, we just gotta, whatever, do the next right thing and like do something. Do one little thing. Do another little thing. And like, you'll be surprised how much that grows. And I'm not even speaking from somebody who's seen it grow. Just speaking with, it's like, I gotta do this, man.
That seems like a good idea. Yeah.
Well, it's just like, whatever.
No, it's
And you ask questions that you know you're gonna, you need to act on the answer. It's tough.
that's part of doing this podcast is to be like, all right, we gotta actually we put it out there in the public. We gotta improve. So
Sort of why we did it. So
yeah,
yeah,
definitely. Just yeah. Do you give till it hurts?
yeah, it's tough.
Probably not.
Yep.
That's the real answer for most of us. So that's
Yeah, it's a tough one.
and that's not just financial. It's I think time. Like for me, that's always the big one. Like I'm so selfish about my time.
Oh, dude, that's the last episode we had was retirement. Man, it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
script. It's like, did we script this thing? It's good. Like, if you're talking about giving your time, it's like, yeah, there's seasons in your life where you're like, well, you have kids, and when your kids move out, it's like yeah, Bruce Brunsbo talked about this. Like, do you basically like the way we almost look at, or we're encouraged to look at our life by the world is like you have your family, your kids, you're 50 something. Now your kids moved out. Now you have this like time where you're like usually you make a lot of money because you're at the end of your career. You're making the most money probably you ever have, and then you save for your retirement in that time, pay your house off, whatever you got to do, find financial freedom, and then you just retire into leisure and your grandkids. But not like he's like you got to focus on like what are you doing in all these seasons too? Like what are you doing in your 50s and 60s to set yourself up, and then are you retiring with intention? Like are you retiring
Yep.
into something, into giving your time away, into like, and I think again it's like back to just do something, man. It's like if you don't just do so, if you don't do the things when you're young, this is why I was so curious about this or to have this conversation. It's like, what should I be doing as a guy in my 30s to set myself up for my 40s to create these habits that when I get to my 70s, the Lord willing, 80s, like I'm so used to doing the things that create this world where I'm willing to serve, right? Because if I spend every waking leisure moment I have on the golf course, which I would love to do, by the way, um, it's it's just like the things you can. I think he said something like you can act your way into thinking better than you can think your way into acting. Now I hear that all over the place, but like that's just like it's a thing we have to, yeah, just do something. If you don't do the thing, if you just think about the thing, then when you get to be in your retirement, you're just going to think about the thing too. You're going to think about it while you're in your golf course. You know, it'd be nice if I had this organization where I did that and this. It's like, well, if you never did anything your whole life, you don't even know what doing even means. So it's just like create these habits. It's like go do the thing. Like whether it's something you don't even enjoy. If you don't want to be on a school board or you don't want to be on a whatever. And yeah, I mean, I look at my life where I'm involved, and I don't think I'm involved enough. People, probably have different opinions about how involved you should be. But like, I do see leisure time. I'm like, man, I just didn't use that leisure time well. Like, just watching a useless movie instead of reading up on the next podcast, and not spending enough time doing that. And like,
Watching a Leaf game, you know the outcome of before you sit down, just to tie a bow on this episode.
yeah, say not to bookend that. Oh
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. Sadness. Sorry.
Hey,
We were on a good
said-
note.
hey, I said it's encouraging that they let us get back to work before June.
That is true.
Otherwise, we'd be watching this into July. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Can't afford 2 more 7-game series. Forget about it.
No, that's true.
Oh man. Yeah.
But yeah, no,
But-
I agree. It's a good spot to leave it, I think. You're just getting real about the real talk that we've been having, and get out there and do things and
Yeah.
pray about it. Pray and work, or at Labora, work and pray.
Yeah, and thanks to everyone who sent in ideas. So some of these episodes came about because of people's ideas that they sent in, even guest ideas. So keep doing that. Love it when we get feedback on our episodes and also just ideas for next ones and issues you see coming up in the churches or in culture that you think, hey, good to address. Like, even if you don't know of somebody who could speak to it, but send over ideas. It's just it's good to involve more people in the conversation.
Yep, 100%. It's I don't know when quite this one will drop, but we're closing in on 5 years of podcasting, so it's been a fun run so far, and we're only just getting started, I think. So much more to learn, and we appreciate you guys learning along with us. So until next time, keep having real talk.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Real Talk. In partnership with Reform Perspective, this show is created and produced by Tyler Vanderwood, Lucas Holtvluer, and Mariah Tamiga. We really appreciate you taking the time to listen or watch the show. If you have any feedback for us or ideas for future guests or topics, please let us know. You can reach us at reformedrealtalk@gmail.com. Be sure to also follow us on social media. You can search Reformed Real Talk on any of the platforms. We should come right up. Also, leave us a review, preferably a 5-star one, on any of the podcast platforms. That would be greatly appreciated. That's all for now, folks. Keep having real talk.